My queen, my queen. Oh, she. Oh, she. Beautiful, wonderfully made. She's heaven's angel. So strong, even in struggle, yeah. When life comes like a storm from every angle, she rises above it all, the backbone of every home. Nothing compares to all she do. The true meaning of every family. She's the glue. Yeah. Where would we be without you? You brought us Martin, Malcolm, and Obama, yeah, and Jesus too. Oh, she's sophisticated, strong, simply amazing, humble, honest, and helpful, educated, ebony, eccentric, empowering. She's a queen, she's a queen. You better treat her like a queen. Oh, oh, Her strength is amazing. Life inside, 9 months she's carrying back to work, 'cause the family she's carrying. Society don't give her just due, but she prevails and stands tall, a champion, a true woman. But nothing compares to all she do. Yeah, the true meaning of every family. She's the glue. Yeah, oh. Where would we be without you? Yeah, you brought us Martin, Malcolm, and Obama, and Jesus too. Oh, she is sophisticated, strong, yeah, simply amazing, humble, honest, and helpful. Not only that you are educated, yes you are, eccentric, empowering. You're my, she's a queen. You're my, my.
Hello. This is RC Blakes, and I'm coming to you again. And I pray that you invite some others to come in and to be a part of our amazing conversation for tonight. This one comes straight from my heart, being a man that spends so much of my time ministering to the needs of women and even trying to help men to understand the plight of women, you know, the broken condition that we as men, and I do feel like we as men in most cases have to bear the responsibility for the condition of many of our women. You know, it's how we have failed to show up as fathers. It's how we have been conditioned to manipulate and manage women as husbands, as boyfriends. It's how we even damage our mothers as sons. A lot of what we see in a lot of the dysfunction that we see in the lives of women is the consequence of us as men not really having a clue as it relates to how we impact and the amazing, tremendous damage that we do because of many of our conditioned ways. We're trained as men. We're raised to break our women. And the reality is that the Heavenly Father gave us our women to help us to be our best version. The man needs the woman needs the man. Each is to help the other, actually. And so this conversation tonight kind of gets to one of those hard issues for me. I want to talk about, and I think it will be enlightening for a lot of ladies tonight, and even for a lot of men that may be dealing with this kind of woman. I want to talk about how a woman's father wound impacts her relationship with her man. When a woman has not had the proper fathering, that paternal deficiency will show up in how this lady deals with men, the decisions, the choices she will make relative to men, and it will even show up in terms of how she will deal with her man. In other words, not just a man that's passing through, but a man that may even be proven, a man that may be the real deal, a lot of times gets the fallout of a woman's brokenness that was deposited within her by either the physical absence of a father or the emotional disconnection of a father. Either way, she ends up with a void that does severe damage to her moving forward as a woman. You know, and I think about this, I think about my marriage, my relationship with Lisa. I had to really love my wife. Not that she was unlovable. She was never unlovable. She's always been a very lovable and loving person. But the father wound that was in her heart made her many days unpredictable. There were things that, you know, I thought were the right thing to do, turns out these things were triggering. It was a challenge to step into the life of a woman who had never known a man that she could actually depend on. She had never known a man that she could hear say, I got it, and he actually did. All she knew was to take care of herself. All she knew was to fend for herself. So when I step into her life, you can't live that way, for 20-some years, and then all of a sudden, a man pops up in your life, if you love him or not, and says to you, trust me. Really? Those muscles had not been exercised. And so there were just a lot of things that were the fallout of the father wound that I had to intentionally and willingly and patiently love my wife through. And some of that stuff even shows up today. I think the father wound imprints itself many times upon the personality of a woman to some lesser degree. A woman becomes who she is out of many times her experiences, not in terms of the trauma, but in terms of just the experience. It shapes who a woman is. My wife is very independent, extremely forward. There were times in the past that she was forward without tempering it. Now she at least knows how to be forward with a smile so as not to intimidate. But these are parts of who she is. And a man either learns to love a woman for who she is or he moves on, right? But my point is, I'm not just talking out the side of my neck here today. I'm talking out of real experiences. But let's get into this. How a woman's father wound impacts her relationships with men. Now, the first statement that I jotted down here is that the greatest subconscious concerns of a woman with a father wound in relationships are to not feel abandoned. When a woman has had a father wound and she's moving into a new relationship or any kind of relationship, one of her primary concerns in the relationship, before she really even takes time to assess the character, the integrity, the worthiness of the man, the first thing that father wound triggers her to be concerned about is, I don't want to feel abandoned. So she'll make decisions and choices based on this idea, whatever happens, I just don't want to feel abandoned. Whatever I got to do, I don't want to feel abandoned. The second thing I listed is that second subconscious concern, maybe even conscious, is to be affirmed. She wants to be affirmed. She needs a man to do for her what her father never did. And that is to say you're good enough, to say you're beautiful, to say, you're amazing. And this many times leads into women dressing provocatively. It's not always a woman's provocative dress code is not, most of the time, I dare say, it is not a reflection of the woman's character or lack thereof. It is the evidence of her broken soul that needs affirmation. And she needs more than the affirmation of her friends, her sister girls. That father wound leaves her with the need for the affirmation of a man. Now, she may not realize that this is why she's dressing this way, or this is why she submits to, sexual behavior that her soul really doesn't agree with. It's that the father wound has left this strong deficiency, this affirmation deficiency. that she is subconsciously working overtime to attain. The next thing I list as it relates to subconscious concerns of a woman with a father wound in a relationship is that she's striving to belong. She wants to belong. She just wants to belong. Women with father wounds never felt a sense of belonging. Doesn't matter how great the mother was, if the father was not there to affirm and to approve of the girl, she never felt like she belonged. And then I listed she has a subconscious concern to prove that she's good enough. She wants to prove that she's good enough. This is why women with father wounds many times are some of the highest achievers. They go through all of those years of education not because they're passionate about their studies or that particular field. They are just striving to prove to themselves that they are good enough, and they're trying to do something that will hopefully bring dad around to one day say, "My girl, wow, I can't believe you did this. You are good enough." Grown women in their 40s and 50s and 60s are still struggling with these psychological strongholds, mindsets. And then finally, I listed greatest subconscious concerns of a woman with a father wound in relationships are not feeling abandoned. She doesn't want to feel abandoned, to be affirmed, to belong, or to feel a sense of belonging, to prove she's good enough, and finally, to be in control. A woman with a father wound needs to feel like she's in control. I was doing podcasts with the young men, Ryan and Tayshawn from Heart Initiated. And man, I just mentioned, this was just this wasn't even a whole point. This was just a statement I made in the flow of a point. I just mentioned that, a wife is a woman that desires to help her husband. And the women that got triggered by me using the word help, just using that word help, I mean, it was 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, they were still in the comments talking about that word help. And I didn't come for them because I understand where that comes from. When a woman has not had a father that she could depend on, and she's not had a man that she could depend on, and every man in her life has just really taken from her and used her, I get why that word triggers women. And I really try to use synonyms, but if I'm reading the Bible, that's what the Bible says, And when you read the full context of the Bible, it is not suggesting that the woman helps the man and the man does not help the woman. In fact, about it, the man has to help the woman to put the woman in a position to be able to help him. Help goes both ways. But I get it. There's a need to feel like I'm in control. And this is why also this word submission is such a trigger. It's because most women have not had fathers that prove to them that men are worthy leaders or men are trustworthy stewards of their hearts. So I just need you to know I get it. I just need you to know I get it. I understand. But let's get into our main content. Number one, how many points do I have today? 3? Oh, wow. I got to move. I have 10. I can't take as long. Number one, how does a woman's father wound impact her relationship or relationships with men? She subconsciously chooses when a woman is struggling, has not been delivered from a father wound, she will subconsciously choose unavailable or emotionally distant partners. She will choose unavailable, or emotionally distant partners. Women with father wounds may subconsciously seek, listen to this very carefully, familiar dynamics in relationships. Where does a woman get her first introduction to her relationship to men? From her father. He may have been present, he may have never been present. The impact of the father, one way or the other, leaves an impression on the woman's soul, and she subconsciously seeks familiar dynamics in relationships, gravitating towards partners who replicate the emotional unavailability she experienced with her father. This behavior can stem from a deep-seated desire to fix the past by seeking validation from similar figures. I go into this issue right here in my online program. If you have not checked it out, Transcending the Father Wound. Women all around the world are being set free from the pain of the father wound through that program. But I deal with this in depth in that program. Relative to, it says this behavior can stem from a deep-seated desire to fix the past by seeking validation from similar figures. A woman will subconsciously seek out a man that mirrors the characteristics of her father, good or bad. And if her father left her empty emotionally by way of a father wound, by being absent physically or emotionally, she will seek out men that mirror her father's characteristics, and she will seek to be loved and or affirmed through this man, as he will serve as a proxy for her father. In other words, if she can choose a man, sometimes she's not even aware she's doing this. If she can choose a man that is emotionally unavailable like her father and get him to love her fully, she feels like this man's love will heal the wound that her father left within her. Now, in a therapeutic setting, the goal is often to help individuals recognize patterns in their relationships and how they may be unconsciously replicating past dynamics, like every one of you. I'm no therapist, no mental health professional at all. But like you should really look at the profile of your father. Watch this. List his characteristics, list how he made you feel, and then look at the profile or the profiles of the men you've been with, and list how they make you feel. And I think in a lot of cases, if not all, you will see that the profiles many times are exactly alike in terms of the men you choose versus the profile of your father. The men you choose and the way they make you feel versus how your father made you feel. And somehow these men become your type. You don't realize it, but your type is driven by the dysfunctional connection to the father wound. Carl Jung spoke about the repetition compulsion, where individuals repeat patterns of the past in their present relationships. I love that. The repetition compulsion. I think that's probably a staple in the life of a person with a broken soul, is that we have this repetition compulsion, because trauma tends to make us suckers for familiarity, even when that familiarity is toxic. Now, here's a statement I jotted down. There's a difference between here's the difference between a healthy woman's choices versus an unhealthy woman's choices. Unhealthy women choose men specifically. Listen to this. Unhealthy women choose men based on surface attractions because of the way it makes them look. This is why unhealthy women, in the book I'm writing, which will be released at Queenology in August this year of 2024, I talk about in this book about how queens choose kings. Unhealthy women choose men based on the surface: 6 figures, 6 feet, 6-pack. Why? Because the optics are great, and the optics sends the signal to the world, this woman is successful. And most unhealthy women stop with that. When a woman becomes healthy or queen conscious, though those external metrics are fine to have if a man has them, queens are searching for something deeper than the surface. Healthy women need something deeper than the surface, because healthy women don't need the world to look at them and say, oh, she's a successful woman because of the man she's with. Healthy women already know that they're healthy, already know that they're successful, rather. Healthy women don't need the affirmation of the world. They're already self-affirmed. Healthy women don't need the world to esteem them. They're already self-esteemed. Healthy women choose men that they can see a future with. And 6 feet, 6 figures, 6-pack, that's not enough to say, okay, we can make a future of this. And so when you look at the difference between healthy versus unhealthy women, and in the way they choose their men, unhealthy women choose surface attractions because of the way it makes them look. Healthy women choose things that are deeper and more authentic, like his vision, like his integrity, like his consistency, like how he makes her feel. Most unhealthy women will leave a man that makes her feel like a queen to go be with a man that has those metrics that I just mentioned, that makes her feel like a dog, because her soul is broken. Okay, let me get off of this because I have a lot to do. Number 2, tolerating poor treatment or abuse is how a woman's father wound impacts her relationship choices. She will tolerate poor treatment or abuse. Women with father wounds may tolerate mistreatment due to low self-worth and a distorted view of love and relationships developed in childhood. Healing involves recognizing one's inherent value and setting boundaries to break the cycle of abuse. I love the way 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 4-7, and this is the Amplified version I'm reading. I love the way it describes or defines the characteristics of love. It says, love endures with patience and serenity. Love is kind and thoughtful and is not jealous or envious. Love does not brag and is not proud or arrogant. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not provoked, nor overly sensitive and easily angered. It does not take into account a wrong endured. It does not rejoice at injustice, but rejoices with the truth when right and truth prevail. Love bears all things regardless of what comes, believes all things, looking for the best in each one, hopes all things, remaining steadfast during difficult times, endures all things without weakening. That's what real love looks like. So when you start finding yourself tolerating for abuse, you have to know that this is not love. Healing from a father wound includes recognizing one's self-worth and establishing healthy boundaries in relationships. If you don't love yourself, you don't really know when you're not being loved properly by someone else. Abraham Maslow, famous psychologist, emphasized the need for respect and esteem, both from others and for oneself in the hierarchy of needs. The more you tolerate abuse and mistreatment, the more broken your soul becomes. If you just hang around and let somebody just walk all over you and mistreat you because you're afraid of feeling abandoned, baby, you're already abandoned. Just because you got somebody sleeping in the bed doesn't mean that you have a partner, doesn't even mean that you have a husband. You're already abandoned. What you need to do is stop worrying about being accepted by him. You need to figure out how to love yourself sufficiently. Number three, how a woman's father wound impacts her relationships with men. Number three, overcompensating in relationships. When a woman has a father wound that she's not healed or transcended, again, go to rcblakes.com and check out my online program where I'm sitting for hours and I'm teaching on this very subject relative to the father wound, transcending the father wound. When we look at number three, overcompensating in relationships can be a coping mechanism for seeking affirmation and love that was lacking from a father figure. This behavior may arise from a deep-seated need to prove one's worth and receive the acceptance and validation that was missing in childhood. So you overcompensate in relationships. You want to do everything. You don't even want to take time for yourself. You're so busy trying to do everything for everybody else that you're running your health into the ground. And you don't even understand that this is stemming from your father wound. Now you feel like you got to prove that you're good enough, that you're worth it, that you deserve it. Though the woman may be very grown and accomplished, listen to this statement I wrote here. Though the woman may be very grown and accomplished in these relational moments, let me read it right. Though the woman may be grown and very accomplished, in these relational moments, she is emotionally functioning from the place of the broken little girl. She may be 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. When she finds herself in a relationship with a man and she's overcompensating in the relationship, she's really back in the place of the broken little girl and she doesn't even realize it. I love what Philippians 2, 3, and 4 says. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind let each esteem the other better than themselves. Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. In other words, this verse encourages believers to value others above ourselves many days, but also to look to our own interest, indicating a balance between self-care and caring for others. When you're struggling with the father wound, what happens is when you overcompensate in relationships, you forget all about your needs and you make everything about his needs. And if you got the wrong man, he lets you and he abuses you. See, if you got the right man, he's going to stop you and he's going to make you realize that self-care, self-love is loving him. Because if a man really loves you, the best thing you can do for that man is to take care of you, as I said to my dear wife, who had this very issue. She's growing out of it, where she just wanted to do everything. She wanted to do everything, to the point she was running herself into the ground. Well, had I been a toxic guy, I would have just taken advantage of that. But therapy often explores the balance between self-care and caring for others, encouraging reciprocal relationships. When you get healthy, you're looking for reciprocal relationships, not one where I got to give everything. I got to give, because I don't realize it subconsciously. I'm trying to prove to you that I'm worthy, because the brokenness in me that my father left won't allow me to really see myself as even deserving a man like you, whatever that means. Donald Winnicott discussed the true self and the false self, where overcompensation could be seen as a manifestation of the false self that complies with others to avoid conflict. The true self versus the false self. Go and research that. Interesting concept. There's a false self that you view as your identity that has absolutely nothing to do with the authentic you. And so many of us, most of the time, are building on this false self while we are ignoring our true selves. And while we look like an amazing success to the world, on the inside we're dying, because this is a false self we're presenting to the world. All right. Number 4. Seeking validation through sex or physical affection. Major sign of a woman that's struggling with a father wound. Why is it that I have to almost fight with this generation of women when I say a woman should not just all willy-nilly go and give her body to a random man? You know, I mean, the biblical ideal is that you wait until you're married, right? Very few people actually accomplish that. It's a major accomplishment. You should strive for it, but you should at least wait until you have a proven man that you know you have a promised future with. Not only a promised future, but a probable future with, a more than likely future with, before you start giving your body to a man. But when you are struggling with that father wound, seeking validation through sex or physical affection may be a misguided attempt to fill the emotional void left by a distant or absent father. And I hope some men are listening to this, because this is what we do to our daughters. When we don't show up for our daughters, just because you divorced her mother doesn't mean you divorced her. And our daughters, well, our children in general, sons and daughters. I know sometimes women make it very difficult for men, and it happens more than women especially want to admit, that when you're not with the man, a lot of days, a lot of women make it almost impossible for the man to see his child. I've seen that over and over and over and over again. And then while she makes it impossible for him to see his child, she's telling the children, your dad is a no-beat. See how he hadn't come to see you? Children not realizing that mom has been the problem a lot of these days. But regardless if she's the problem or not, go down and see those folks and get those folks to intervene so that you can be a part of your children's lives. Okay, let me get back to my discussion. The point was, seeking validation through sex or physical affection is one of the fallouts of a woman in relationships who has not processed her father wound. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 18 through 20 says, flee fornication. Every sin that a man does is without, or on the outside of the body, but he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body. You're sinning against yourself. What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own, for ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. You are sinning against yourself when you allow yourself to participate in all of these non-ordained, random, just careless sexual encounters. Now, the journey of healing may involve understanding that your self-worth is intrinsic and not dependent on external validation. So you ain't got to give no man your body for him to tell you you're beautiful, you're great, and all of these kinds of things. Your beauty, your greatness is intrinsic. Number 5. Repeatedly testing a partner's commitment. When a woman has not been delivered from the father wound and she's engaging in a new relationship, she will repeatedly, or many times, a woman will repeatedly test a partner's commitment. The father wound leaves the woman unsure of herself, and this insecurity makes it very difficult for her to trust the loyalty of others. In such cases, she puts good people, good men, through rigorous and often unnecessary testing because of fear. You're just repeatedly testing a partner's commitment, putting them through unnecessary stuff over and over and over and over again. And many days you have great people that walk out of your life because you just never got out of the testing mode. You just kept on pushing, wanting them to prove their love. I love how 1 John 4:18 discusses how perfect love will cast out fear. And fear of abandonment is not consistent with a loving, trusting relationship. And that's what's going on. When you're repeatedly testing a person, there's a fear of abandonment. But when you step into a relationship with perfect love, and what is perfect love? It is first turning your heart towards the Creator, towards God. Loving God with all your heart, then allowing God to love you back, which creates what? A self-love. And then entering into relationships from a position of God loving, God loving you, you loving yourself, and now you're capable and you're able to love someone else without the fear of abandonment because you don't need them to fulfill you. Now, therapy can help individuals learn to trust and to communicate their needs without resorting to testing behaviors. Just putting a man through all of this unnecessary stuff. Let's see. John Bowlby's attachment theory, another good thing for you to look up, suggests that early relationships with caregivers or parents or parental figures form the blueprint for future relationship expectations and behaviors. What you went through, what you experienced or didn't experience with your father, your mother even, has created a psychological or emotional blueprint in terms of how you enter into and the expectations you have of relationships moving forward. So a lot of days you got to really stop and think on your history so that you can overcome it, that you might be able to move into your destiny. Number 6, difficulty with emotional intimacy. Difficulty with emotional intimacy can result from a lack of secure attachment and trust established in childhood with a father figure. Healing involves learning to trust, learning to communicate openly, and form healthy emotional connections in relationships. This, looks like this when you start talking about a woman that has difficulty with emotional intimacy because of the impact of a father wound. She can't be transparent. She holds stuff in. She refuses to communicate her whole heart. She struggles to be vulnerable. Once she feels like, she might be actually loving a man. Once she feels like she might be actually loving a man, she pulls back because she fears vulnerability. Letter C, I wrote, she despises a man that exhibits emotional awareness. So a man that has any emotional intelligence or is emotionally connected at all, she's almost turned off by him. She's not attracted to him, not realizing that all of this stems from the pain she experienced from her father wound. I heard a young man talking recently on just an Instagram clip, actually, and I thought the statement was so powerful. He's talking about how women say they're not attracted to an emotional man. They're not attracted to a soft man. But he made the statement, he said, well, if a man can't be emotional with his woman, and when we say emotional, we're not talking about just falling out on the floor crying and, that's not the kind of emotion we're talking about. But if a man can't be in touch with his feelings with his woman, where can he be? He can't be it in the street with his boys. He can't be it on his job, And the man, the powerful statement he made, he said a man has to locate the sensitive side of himself to be able to relate to the sensitive parts of his woman. But if he has a woman that is so broken by the father wound or whatever in life that she's unattracted to a man that is emotionally aware, wow. Overcoming challenges with emotional intimacy often involves building trust, accepting vulnerability, and communicating openly in a safe and supportive environment. You got to practice this. When it's difficult for you, when emotional intimacy is difficult for you, you got to practice it. You got to be honest with the man that you love. If you have a man that you love and he's loving you back, you got to be honest with him about your struggle and why you have this struggle. And you have to practice it. And you have to give him permission to hold you accountable to it. Sue Johnson, the developer of emotionally focused therapy, emphasizes the importance of emotional connection and secure attachment in intimate relationships. Number 7. Oh, wow. Attempting to fix or save a man. When a woman is struggling from a father wound, she will quite often attempt to fix or save a man. You see, little girls compensate for a father's inconsistencies by making excuses for him. Oh, well, dad didn't show up because, he works a lot. Oh, dad's going to come next time. He's coming tomorrow. So though she waited on the porch all day for dad till the sun went down, she goes to bed hopeful. She makes excuses. He just got caught up. The traffic probably was bad. He's coming tomorrow. And she'll wake up tomorrow and she'll get her little bag and she'll sit out on the porch and she'll wait all day and he still won't show up. And she'll keep making excuses. But when that little girl turns into a grown woman, grown women, little girls made excuses for their fathers, but the grown woman will attempt to mold a man into what he should be. She tries to fix him. She doesn't just make excuses for him. She tries to fix a grown man. Whenever a woman fixes a man, she breaks herself. She can't fix a grown man. When a woman tries to fix a man, she always breaks herself. Galatians 6:2-5 says, bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. If a man think himself to be something when he's nothing, he deceives himself. But let every man, here it is, prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone and not in another. You can't do certain things for a grown man. He got to do it for himself. For every man shall bear his own burden. It ain't your job to fix no grown man. You can't build a man like you go down to the mall and build a bear. His mama couldn't fix him. If God hadn't changed him, what makes you think you can change him? The desire to fix or save partners can stem from a need to feel needed or in control, which may require exploring underlying motives and developing healthier relationship patterns. Number eight, man, I'm going through a lot today. I'm moving fast. Number 8, when a woman has not processed her father wound, when it comes down to relationships with men, she may produce this kind of behavior. Power struggles in relationships. Power struggles in relationships. When a woman has not processed her father wound, many times women with unresolved father wound issues become aggressively resistant to male authority, though they want a relationship with men. This shows up on the job. This shows up in society. Women have issues with male authority. It shows up in the church. It is not because the woman hates men. Here's the issue. The woman has these power struggle issues in relationships. It's not, now men, we may conclude, well, she hates men. She does not hate men. That's why she has one after another. They just can't stay. She does not hate men. She is afraid of what loving a man, surrendering and submitting to a man can potentially, can potentially do to her emotions. So there's this power struggle, not because she's even a difficult woman, she's just a hurting woman. And she's afraid to let go. She's afraid of words like submission and help because this makes her vulnerable. Matthew 20, 26-28 says, but it shall not be so among you, but whosoever will be great among you, let him be a minister, your servant. And whosoever will be chief among you, let him be a servant, even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give his life a ransom for many. Human relations are best done when we each seek to serve the other. When the man seeks to serve the woman, he teaches the woman how to serve him. This is where we make the mistake, brothers, in church, where we try to teach the principle of submission to women before we've modeled it. When the Bible tells us to honor our women, it's basically telling us to submit to the needs of our woman. And when we submit to the needs of our woman and we meet the needs of our woman, many times we don't realize it, but we're healing the trauma of the past. We're healing the father wound that makes her afraid to submit to a man. But when she gets a man that loves her, not a pushover, not a simp, but a real man that loves her, and he submits to her needs, and he consistently teaches her how he can serve her, what he does is he teaches her how to serve him, and he begins to heal that broken place in her soul. Psychologist Murray Bowen's family systems theory explores how individuals navigate emotional triangles, differentiation, and power dynamics within family relationships that can influence adult relationships. Interesting. Number nine, when a woman has not processed her father wound issues, this woman fears commitment. A lot of times, it's not the man that's preventing the couple from getting to the altar. A lot of days, it's the woman that doesn't want to go to the altar just yet because she's afraid of commitment. The woman with a father wound relates commitment to a one-sided effort that ends in exhaustion and unfulfilled expectations and unmet needs. Hopes deferred. That's why when a woman has not processed her father wound issues, she struggles with a fear of commitment. A lot of times, brother, it's not that she doesn't love you. She loves you with all of her heart. It's just that there's this mountain of fear that's standing between her and being able to say yes to a real firm commitment. If you pay attention to her, she does everything a wife would do for you already. And there's no reason why she won't say yes to marriage, and she keeps putting it off when she's already doing everything a wife would do anyway. What's preventing her? That father wound says to her, if I make a commitment, and if I make a commitment, I'm going to have expectations. I'm going to have hopes. If I don't make the commitment and if I don't have the hopes, he'll probably stick around. 2 Timothy 1:7 reminds believers that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. Overcoming the fear of commitment often involves addressing underlying insecurities. This is where therapy comes in. This is why I suggest to you all BetterHelp counseling, which is in the link is in the description. You need somebody to help you think through why you behave the way you behave. I was telling you all a few weeks ago, recently I overheard the conversation of an older psychiatrist who said he helps people understand why they do what they do and why things are. And he says the healing is in the understanding of the why. Number 10, and finally, when a woman has not processed her father wound, she sabotages. She's not processed her father wound, and she's trying to do relationships without healing first. She sabotages relationships. The father wound leaves such a deep wound, it prevents the woman from being optimistic about making this work, or this being optimistic about this being able to work. It's compounded, this lack of optimism about this being able to work, it is compounded with a dreadful fear of being disappointed again. A broken soul does anything it can to avoid being disappointed again. The Bible says hope deferred makes the heart sick. In this case, the woman with the father wound and trying to do relationships, in this case, she finds it easier to break off the relationship herself rather than endure another betrayal. So There's this sub-reality in the mind of a woman who's not dealt with her father wound when she's in a relationship. If a man, let me give you an extreme example. If a man gets busy at work and he doesn't call, within 4 or 5 hours, well, her mind begins to say, okay, see, he's out with somebody else. He's already interested in somebody else, and I knew it. I knew it couldn't last. And so what she does is she'll send him a text saying, it's over. I don't want you no more. Just don't call me again. He doesn't have a clue where this is coming from. Now, if he really loves her and what have you, he'll reach out and say, what was this about? What's this about? Well, you could have told me. You could have told me that you didn't want me. You didn't have to just ghost me. It's just been 5 hours since I talked to you. I'm at work. I got busy. I couldn't pull away. I operate a crane. Come on, somebody. That's an extreme example, but that's how a woman that sabotages a relationship, that's how she functions, because in her mind, it all goes back. She reverts back to the wounded little girl sitting on the porch waiting for daddy. And so in her mind, nothing good is, this can mean nothing good. I like what Titus 1:15 says. Unto the pure all things are pure, but unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure. But even their mind and conscience is defiled. The thing I love about this text is the greater principle. Not the specific context, but the greater principle. Whatever your internal condition is, you're going to project that upon the world. So if your internal condition as a woman is that of a broken little girl still dealing with a father wound, you're going to always project that upon every scenario in your relationships with men. This is why you need therapy and counseling to be able to work your way through, because you will sabotage many great relationships with great men. And you will look back and you say, man, I regret. Once you get healed and you become aware of the why, you look back and you say, man, I had a great guy. I sabotaged that relationship. Healing from a father wound may involve recognizing self-destructive patterns, developing self-compassion, and learning healthier ways to cope with relational challenges. Carl Jung, again, his concept of the shadow self explores unconscious aspects of the personality that can influence behavior, including patterns of self-sabotage in relationships. So those are 10 things that I've laid out for you that I think are paramount in terms of things women go through when they're trying to have a successful relationship, but they have not fully and completely processed the father wound. And my prayer for you is that something I said has put a light on something in your heart, in your soul. May I pray for you today? Father, I speak over the life of every woman listening, even the men that may have tuned in, God, because even men struggle with father wounds and mother wounds. Now, Father, my prayer is that you will, by your precious Holy Spirit, let the peace of Jesus Christ come into that room wherever they are, and let them right now, dear Father, experience a supernatural deliverance. Let them sense a peace. Let them feel a liberty, a liberation, a wholeness, a health like they've never experienced before. In Jesus' name, amen, 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 amen. Now listen, I need you to go to RCBLAKES.com. Don't forget to check out my online program, Transcending the Father Wound. Go and check that out. I promise you, you need it in your life. Go and check it out at RCBLAKES.com right now and sit with the content. You can move at your own pace. It's hours of content. You can move at your own pace. You can sit there and just sit there for hours upon hours and go through the whole thing all at once if you want. You can always go back to it. Go and look at that now at RCBLAKES.com. Don't forget queenology.net to register for Queenology. Go to Amazon to pick up all of my books. Amazon, go and check out all of my books there. Those of you that are asking about the sweatshirts or the t-shirts on top going higher that Lisa and I use while working out, I want you to go to rcblakesstore.com and you'll find a selection there. Now, what am I missing? Thanks to all of you who have sown into our lives. Lisa and I appreciate you. Don't forget to share this. Don't forget to like this before you leave today. This is how you help me to reach more people and to grow our community. Now, I think I'm done. I want you to know that I love you with all of my heart. I love you with all of my heart. I'm praying for you. Lisa and I are praying for you. For real, we are praying for you. And you truly are on top, and you truly are going higher. We love you. I want you to have an amazing evening. Until next time, I'm R.C. Blake saying to you, see you at the top.
We here at RC Blakes Ministries want to thank you for spending this time with us today. RC and Lisa are always honored to have you with us. Don't forget to reach out to us by visiting our website at www.rcblakes.com. While you're there, you may join our mailing list and receive a free download of The Laws of Manifesting Your Vision by RC Blakes. Also look at all of the online programs by RC. You may find all books written by RC and Lisa. Once again, all of us here at RC Blakes Ministries want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And as we always say, see you at the top.
Hello, family. This is RC Blakes, and I am so thoroughly excited. I'm excited because Queenology 2024 is coming back to Atlanta, Georgia, August the 23rd through the 25th. The host hotel is going to be the Whitley Hotel. Amazing. Women are literally coming from around the world. It is a multicultural, multi-generational, multiracial movement of women from around the world. And I want to invite you and yours to meet Lisa and I in Atlanta, Georgia at the Whitley Hotel, August the 23rd through the 25th for Queenology. For those that have the Royal Court package, it will afford you your entire stay for the weekend. It will also afford you a private, formal dinner with Lisa and I to open Queenology up. It also affords you admission to every event, everything that's happening for the entire weekend. Now, we also have the Saturday brunch and intensive package, which allows you to get into the brunch where Lisa and I will be sharing the messages that God has given us for 2024 to share with the ladies. This year, I'll have my own message, and Lisa will also have her very own message. It's going to be powerful. During the Saturday brunch and intensive, we're also going to have a very distinguished panel of men that are going to sit before the queens and answer the questions that women have always wanted to ask men. It's going to be amazing. Now, also those that are part of the VIP experience, there will be a time where Lisa and the ladies will gather in what they call, I think, the pajama party. And it will be a time where women will have conversation among women. I'm really excited about the culmination of Queenology this year because none other than the incomparable Dave Hollister is coming to be a part of our closing event. the all-white party. He's going to sing the Queenology theme song, as well as entertain the ladies, the queens, for that evening. Queenology 2024 promises to be like none other. Those of you that want information, if you desire to be a vendor, queenology.net. Those of you that may need payment plans, queenology.net. Let nothing stop you from making your way to Queenology 2024 in Atlanta, Georgia this year. Tickets are going very quickly. I would love for you to meet us in Atlanta, August the 23rd through the 25th. Queens from around the world are coming. Queens from around the world are rising. It is going to be a coronation. It is going to be a crowning.